Hey guys, so I decided to make another video, a new recap video on how I witnessed 2024. It's been a crazy year, a lot of things have happened, and the past 2 years I made a recap video on, just my past 12 months and how I experienced everything, the way I've been going about it, the goals that I set, what did I hit, what did I not hit in terms of, goal setting and things I was going after and my ambitions. So I decided to do a video like that again, and quite frankly, I think I'm just going to keep it as a tradition because this is just one of those things. I'm recording myself, it's in the form of almost like a diary, me talking to myself. And who knows, maybe someday I can pass this along to the people that I care for, my kids, God willing, let's see. But yeah, it's been a wild year, and as some of you may have noticed, I haven't been online that much. I haven't been posting like every other year prior to that. Like, you haven't seen me doing much on Instagram. I didn't record any video for a couple of months on YouTube, and there is a reason for that. And the reason is because I felt like I was overdoing it. I felt like I was juggling too many projects at the same time. Sure, there were some things like the YouTube project that I was doing on the side, but in the meantime, I was also handling multiple clients at the same time. I was, participating in other side hustles and ventures. I was going all in on crypto. I was doing this, I was doing that, I was doing all these kinds of things. And I felt like some of them needed more attention, and because of that, I needed to make some tough decisions. So I decided at the beginning of this year that I was going to pause this because I felt like I was pursuing a path and going after things that for me were, first and foremost, they were definitely more profitable. And I just felt like, this is what I need to do for now. It felt more aligned because with the entire Instagram thing and the posting every day, I don't know, I just felt like, we can keep doing this game, but at some point, when the things you're doing are just they're not profitable, or it's not the right timing. And it reminded me of something that Alex Ramosi said. He said, look, it's perfectly fine to kind of like pause certain things that you're working on. It's perfectly fine to set a project aside for a while and to come back to it at a later stage in life when you have more to say, more to share, more to do. And I feel like that's the relationship that I'm having with this entire online game. It truly is a love-hate relationship because on the one hand, you want to share that journey, you want to give people an insight on how you're doing things and in light of authenticity and integrity, so that when people see you with the results, they know that you've been documenting that shit and there is proof that you worked for it. But then there is another part of me that as much as I love that part of showing that journey and sharing it, I'm also valuing more and more like that privacy part, just going off grid, not showing everybody what you're up to, keeping those things to yourself, and just maybe occasionally giving like bits and pieces like I'm doing right now. But that overall journey of documenting and letting everybody in, I'm not sure if that's a trend shift in our culture or if that's just me, but I feel like I value privacy more. I value peace more. I value not going to having, setting up the camera and doing all the editing, because I'm telling you, like with this stuff, there is a lot of things on the backside, like behind the scenes that go into this. And I just was like, fuck it, I don't want to do this. There's other things that I want to do. So that's the first part. Also, I really wanted to increase my income again. Like, I really wanted to figure out, okay, like how can I get to the next level financially? And in a weird way, that did kind of go hand in hand with me getting more comfortable. And I think part of that is some maturity level that I felt like, okay, whatever I want to do, whatever I want to make financially, I was visualizing myself like as if I already had it, if that makes sense. Like a lot of the things I wasn't chasing anymore. I think that's the best way to put it. I let go of a lot of the things that I was chasing, that included people and that included goals as well. I was like, I already have it. It's already a done deal. And in a weird way, it's so cliche to say, the law of attraction and all that crap. It's so cliche. I used to be for the longest period of time like that self-help junkie, and at some point I let go of it, but it's really, really true. Like that, don't chase, attract kind of thing. I feel like I had a little bit of an insight to that this year in particular. I feel like I'm definitely more mature in my way of being, in my way of thinking, in my way of reflecting on things, in my way of not reacting emotional to things, in my way of just letting things flow, and whatever comes out of that, I'm okay with either outcome. And financially, that really was the case. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to keep pursuing my high coaching and team building thing, which is what I'm doing on a corporate level. I have clients that I train, clients that I help with their organizational transformation, whether it's safe or agile or just team building overall. And I decided I wanted to scale that. So I was thinking about maybe starting out with people that I could train and then kind of expand that business that way, or me just taking on more clients. And I decided to go with the latter, even though maybe that it's not the most straightforward thing. But I've been in a place where I had to deal with people, as in hiring and firing and just having people on your payroll. And of course, at some point, when you want to get to the next level, you have no choice but to go that route. But quite personally, I wasn't feeling ready for that. I don't feel like that's what I want to be dealing with. I've done it, and it brings a lot of stress and headache. And I'm simply not willing to pay that price in this specific phase of my life. Why so? Because the past 2 years, I've been going at it like crazy, and I felt like this year I just wanted to kind of take a little step back. And I know it's not a cool thing to say, especially if you're being born in this part of the world where everything is about that hustle culture and go after things and be on 24/7. This year I was like, fuck it, no, I'm not. I'm just going to just go with the flow a bit. If I want to play a game of Call of Duty, I'm going to do that. If I want to indulge in something, I'm going to do that. If I want to go on a trip, fuck it, I'm going to do that. And maybe it doesn't look that cool. It doesn't look like I'm on that productive journey. But the reality is, I made more money this year than I did the past 2 years combined. That shows you that results don't necessarily always have to go hand in hand with you being on 24/7. It goes in hand with making good decisions and being at the right place at the right time, which you could define a little bit as luck, but you can prepare for it, right? So I feel like that's what I've been doing. And now that I'm kind of this mature version of me, I feel like those things are kind of coming to me, and I don't have to force it. And I see an opportunity, I see opportunities, and when I see them, I can decide whether I want to jump on them, but I'm not kind of FOMOing in. And so what I did, I had a simple strategy. 2 years ago, my goal was to how do I go from being this broke kid who was living paycheck to paycheck. I wasn't broke, I didn't know how to pay my rent, but it's not like I didn't have 10K in savings. And you could argue that if you don't have 10K in savings, you are kind of broke, right? And so that was the goal 2 years ago. How can I go from 0 to 10K a month and do that consistently? Last year, I was like, okay, how can I go from 10K to 20K and figure out a way to do that consistently? This year, I kind of I wanted to combine it with an investment plan, and I was like, okay, what would happen if I would take on 2, 3, 4 clients at the same time? And then instead of, just saving that money up, figure out a way to to keep my expenses as low as possible, keep a little bit of savings on the side, and then just invest in everything else. And so that's what I've been doing. It's already what I was doing last year, but this year I kind of I really went all in on my investment strategy. I started early with crypto, very early, but there's also kind of other things that I've been looking into. And then just trust the process, just place your bets, position yourself, and then keep doing what you're doing, and then don't overthink it too much. And I think that's been one of the biggest lessons I've had this year. Less is more. Keep it simple. You don't need a lot of things at the same time. You don't need to make a lot of good decisions. You need to make a few decisions and make them right. You need to do a couple of things right, and then you can allow yourself to go off with some other things, if that makes sense. You don't need to nail everything. You need to nail a few things that matter. And I feel like that's what I've been doing. I feel like 2024 for me was a year where, in terms of productivity, I went a step back, even though I just said I had 3, 4 clients at the same time. But, you have to be honest with yourself. If I'm being really honest right now, man, I could have squeezed so much more out of the day in terms of productivity and performance. Like if I were to turn myself on 100% and, give it my all, the Hisham that's like on that path, I could have squeezed so much more out of my days. But the thing is, I'm totally fucking fine that I didn't. I truly enjoyed 2024. Like I had a lot of moments where I could just stand still and enjoy. But like genuinely, like to just stand still and enjoy and be aware and be in the present moment and just, looking at a bird and not feeling guilty that I'm not doing my shit. Playing a game of Call of Duty and just really, really enjoying that game. Opening a bag of chips and just eat and just be okay with it and go on that extra trip. Like I did those little things. I felt like I did them in balance, even though balance is kind of like a nasty word when it comes to productivity, because you need to be kind of like all in and forget everything else. And I think the most important thing is do what feels right for you. And there is no specific formula. Like it needs to feel right for you. Now, I will give a disclaimer. Because what I'm saying makes it sound like I've been kind of like in the comfort zone 2024, which is true. But the only reason I felt comfortable being there and like not being overwhelmed by guilt and anxiety and I should be doing this and I should be doing that, but actually embracing it, is because the results were coming out as well, which is kind of like a weird paradox, right? If I were in the comfort zone and nothing would come out of it in terms of productivity, not productivity per se, but like results, I would feel very guilty. Like I would be shattered by guilt and this voice in my head like, you're not making any progress. The thing is, I was making progress and I wasn't even working that hard for it. But at the same time, I also realized that was the fruit of my labor from the 2 years prior to that. Remember, in my first recap video, I stated that, like in January 2022, I had this breakup, I wrote down some goals, and then, I was going to go after them. I truly feel like that moment, like January 2022, was like a very pivotal period, like a very pivotal few weeks or a month, if you will, that really changed the trajectory of my life forever. And so I went after goals and, pursuits and passions and ambitions for 2 years straight, 2022, 2023. Like I really went all in and I kind of like harnessed this energy and kind of like got in touch with myself, with my, with my emotional side, with my, with my masculinity, with my, like, I really feel very, very comfortable in my own skin. And, I just got to embrace that this year. And I think that's a good thing. So I think the key lesson here is to do what feels right for you. And so that's the first part of the equation. Now, what are my goals going into 2025? Well, I have a vague idea of what those goals are. And this week I'm going to go from very vague to crystal clear. I still need to write them down. I still need to kind of like set out my strategies and stuff. I have some goals, but I don't want to touch upon them right now. What I do want to say is that by the end of next year, I really want to blow myself away. I want to blow everybody away and be like, God damn, this time he really did it. I want to go to the next level. That is financially, relationship wise, everything. Like physically, I want to be in the best. I want to be in my best physical shape next year. And I'm just going to do that. I'm not sure how. I feel like I already did it. I feel like it's coming in a weird way. I'm embracing it. But I'm very, very excited. So unlike this year, next year, I really do want to get back into that productivity mode and my performance mode. I want to squeeze the best out of me next year in terms of networking, physique, relationships, money, all those things. Now, if I'm being really honest, I have no idea how I'm going to do it. I just know that I will. In fact, again, in my head, it's already a done job. It's like it's already a done deal. And so I think it's good to embrace both sides. I think it's good to go in that place where you really want to go all in, smash your goals and pursue the things that you really care for, and then to also enjoy the fruits of your labor. And I think that is kind of like the main takeaway for this specific video for this year. And, also obviously like reflect on that yourself. Like, what have you done this year? Like, what do you consider your main accomplishment, the thing that you're most proud of. If you don't have any, that's fine. What are you going to do next year? Like, you're still alive, you're still breathing, meaning that the game isn't over, you're still in the run. So kind of like get specific about that. And I know, like I've said it before, but again, less is more. Keep things simple. We don't have to overcomplicate the math. I don't have to give you new life advice every time I make a video. Keep it fucking simple. This is a new chance for you to write down some goals, make it as simple as possible. For me, it was quitting porn, it was stop putting sugar in my coffee and tea, it was, participating into a High Rocks match, which will be in the beginning of next year. Like, all these little goals, they make a difference because over a lifetime, they really add up, they really transform you into a new person. Also, don't be afraid to set bigger goals. Like, you don't need to be afraid to, think big, think out of the box, think different, and just try, give it a try. And I promise you, if you get that momentum going, once you're kind of like in the race of pursuing things, it'll create like this snowball effect. And before you know it, it's a done deal. Before you know it, you're a new version of you. And you kind of like look back in time and you're like, that guy or that girl, that's not me. I don't recognize that person. I really have that. Like this, it's very weird, but I genuinely don't recognize the person I was a few years ago. Like, and I'm talking about 3-4 years ago. Like, I'm a totally different version. And luckily, gladly, I can say, I'm a better version. I am much more considerate towards the people that I care for. I try to stick more to my faith. I've been making more money than I've ever have done before. I feel like, in terms of my physical shape, I'm still there and I'm going to get better. It's all these little things. And, I can look back with a sense of pride and be like, okay, you've done it again. And it's a feeling that I wish for everybody else. So, if that's not you this year, then make sure it's next year, because it's never too late to give it a try. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This was my first video. Honestly, it was a bit weird because, when you sit in front of a camera like this, and I like for the first time again, because I haven't done it in a year, it's always like a bit like, off top, especially like, what am I going to say? How am I going to go about this? But, I think it's important to stick close to the truth as possible. Just speak your heart, and then I guess you can't really go wrong. So for now, guys, I wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Hope you had a good one. Happy New Year, and see you in the next one.